Hey everyone. So uh, we've been having extreme heat here in Miami. So I've been a little under the weather, but I wanted to make sure that you guys got at least some basics with the webinar, and that you guys felt like you could do it if you had to do it for work. So I'm gonna make this very short because I don't know how long my voice is gonna last. But it sucks because as women, like we get such few windows to feel good, and then you get cold, and it's like, God, no. So, um, let me do this so that I can go back to sleep. And then when you work a 9 to 5, then when you work a 9 to 5, when you work a 9 to 5, then you only get 2 days off. Well, 1.5 because you have to run all these errands. So, I just put water on my hair. God. Okay. So, all right, last. Okay, so we're talking about webinars today, and sorry about the. Is that a little better? Let me make sure that. Okay. Okay. So, webinars are starting to really take off, especially in the corporate world, because courses and education are now starting to seem like the ticket out. And for a lot of people, they are not secure in their jobs. They are worried about, competing in today's job market, which is this is a very this the funny thing is this is a very educated job market. Like, we have people with degrees that maybe they didn't have degrees like even 10, 20 years ago. And, it's really hard for a lot of people to stand out unless they have some sort of skill. So we're all looking for that magic combination, whether or not it's in our love lives, in our professional lives, within ourselves. So we're all looking for that magic combination. And webinars are usually about an hour. So I say that webinars should be 30 minutes of very, very intense information, you know, intense value, shall we say. So webinars should have very intense value. And it should focus on one thing that you can deliver. And the 30 minutes of value on what you can deliver, then I would give some time to recap, 10 to 15 minutes to recap. Well, let me rephrase that, like probably about 7 minutes to recap. And then you open up to a Q&A, because people, in order to be an expert, you have to have a community. It's like, in order to be a guru, you have to have a follower. So no matter what you do as your topic, you have to have time for Q&A, because you won't be considered an expert unless people connect with you. So leave time for people to connect with you, for people to feel like you can answer their questions, because they're going to you as a source of value. And part of that value is how it connects to them. So you always have to, ooh, that was fun. You always have to be serving the needs of your community. So that's why I always say value and community go hand in hand. So if you are not focused on your community, pack it in. So I would say your webinar has to be 30 minutes of intense information, deliver on one thing. Deliver on just one thing and leave time for Q&A. You have to have a moderator, because I mean, I'm sure you've seen in these lives, people get a little wild. So your webinar can be live or pre-recorded. I would put it on, the other platform that begins with an L. and I would really sit down and think about a series of webinars, because the most popular thing right now in webinars is just to do one-off. So one here, one there, not really a series. But a series is where people are going to get invested in you, and they're going to get invested in your knowledge. So it is in your best interest to create a series, especially if you're just starting out, especially if you have some sort of insider knowledge. A series is going to help you stand out, because marketing is all about helping you stand out. And you may think to yourself, well, I don't really know if I can stand out. I mean, I don't know if I can consider myself an expert or this, that, and the other. You just have to be one step ahead. You have to be one step ahead. You have to have mastered one step in the process in order to be considered an expert. So one step ahead. You lost those 10 pounds, that's one step ahead of someone else. You figured out how to do a funnel. You figured out how to repurpose a blog post into 20 pieces of content. You figured out how to go viral. You figured out how to have a small community. Any of that can put you light years ahead of other people. So consider whether or not well, let me go back. And I say this quite frequently in my live. So if it's like the greatest hits, there's a couple of ways to choose your topics for your webinars, your topic or topics. What do you get asked about the most? What do you get paid to do? What do you get asked about the most? What do you get paid to do? What is your special interest? And do you see a gap in the market? The best is if you can combine all of those, but sometimes you can't. And sometimes you might just be doing this for work, which is fine. So there's a couple of things you can do. You can do a webinar on the topic that you feel like very confident in. You get paid to do it. People come to you. You can get a lot of followers if you can deliver something very well. So the key with a webinar is delivering something that you know you can do a good job in doing. So it's not like, you can cook dinner, you can like microwave pizza, or you can cook a 4-course meal. People want the 4-course meal. So if you can't deliver, a good dinner, don't even bother. Just deliver what you can do. Maybe you make a great tiramisu, a pistachio tiramisu. Whatever you can deliver is what your webinar should be about. And then another thing that you can do is figure out the trending topic that you are an expert in. I wouldn't go cold and just find a topic and be like, oh, that's interesting. Google it, maybe pick out some keywords and then slap it together and deliver it and be like, oh my God, this is going to make me so much money. That's a cash grab. People can always tell when it's a cash grab. You're not using the right lingo. You're referencing something that's considered outdated or dead. People can always tell when you're trying to do a cash grab. So I don't recommend doing a hot trend unless you are really confident in delivering something. So you can go trendy, but I always say you should do webinars in twos: trendy and evergreen. So a trending topic, what would be a really interesting webinar is, right now we're seeing the downfall of a lot of celebrities, rightfully so, because celebrity culture is trash. It's not like the 80s where everyone is like, most people are trying to do well. People really are not doing well. And celebrity culture is so out of touch. Like the last press run that Blake Lively did when she was like, Lorraine Schwartz is like my security blanket. And it's very expensive jewelry when people can't even afford dinner. So if you had to take that and turn it into a webinar, I would make it very granular. So reputation management after you've made a mistake. So it can either be a hot topic or something that's super granular. So I always use this example. Let's say that you're a nutritionist and you've noticed that there's a lot of people who are on Ozempic. So they're not necessarily going the traditional route to lose weight, which is fine. Everyone's different. But the whole thing is they are not using the traditional methods. Some things that maybe are taking a long time to work, they're no longer the hot ticket. So you're a nutritionist, you notice everyone's on Ozempic, but you notice because, yes, it calms down the food noise, but the body can't have cravings for the things that it needs. Like I was having a very bad craving for eggs. That's your body telling you something. So you've turned off the food noise. You can't tell what your body needs. And, when we get to certain ages, we need certain things in our body. And, our body has different needs. And, for injuries, like once I got a little bit older, I became very injury prone because I was exercising and doing very intense Pilates all day. And now I just do aqua jogging in my pool. But you're a nutritionist, focus on people who are taking Ozempic who don't understand what their body needs, what Ozempic does to the body. So, what their body needs, what their body wants, the emotional attachment to food. Focus on women in their 40s, women who are either single or have families. So your webinar should be a very trendy topic, or should go super, super granular, or be something that there's a gap in the market about, or just, I don't recommend doing a webinar for fun because I am not one of those for fun people. Like if I'm not making money from it, I'm not bothering. Oh my God. I remember when I first started out writing, people would be like, well, if you write this book for me, I'll split the publishing rights. You're a good writer. So, it should make money. It's like, no. If I don't make money from it, I'm not going to bother. That's not the same as cash grab because, I'm not just going to do anything for money. But if it's not making me money, I'm not going to bother. Hi. So think about what is trending, how you can make it very granular, and how you can apply it to your industry. Because as a person who's putting together a webinar, you have to be considered an expert. So if it's your very first webinar, oh my God, I can't even imagine. If it's your very first webinar, choose a topic that you feel very comfortable in, very, very comfortable in, and kind of put together a script. So what I do is I create webinar scripts. So I use the same formula that I do for my course template. So what I would do is if you guys go to the bio section of my profile, you will see where it says free course template or my link tree, and tap on it. And then when you pull it up, you'll see my template for courses. And the good thing about webinars and the way that I think about them is that a webinar is just a one module course. So within that course, you have lessons, but within the course, you have lessons. So you can do a one module course. So that's how I think of a webinar. It's just one module. So go download it, and then you're gonna go to my page. You're gonna download it, and then you can always reply to me and then tell me the specifics of like what you're doing and what you need help with. But my formula that's always worked for me. Good girl. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Bentley Hot Rod. My little girl came to say hi. Say hi. What are you doing? What are you doing? Whoa. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. What are you doing? Good girl. Hold on. Well, I have to finish. Oh, ow. Stop. Relax. I will. Don't worry. I will. Shh. Soon. Okay, soon. She's only been to the park twice today. So I would stop. uh, sorry, guys. The best type of technical difficulty is a very charming dog. So go to my link in bio and download your free course template. And so my formula is general, specific, recap, application. Oh my God, I might have to come back. But general, specific, recap, application is what is the formula that I use for everything, whether it's a course, a lesson, a webinar. Thank you. Thank you, Ira. Thank you. You're very generous. So general, specific, recap, application. Talk about the problem and really address the problem in general. Reputation management in the time of cancel culture. That would be a good one. So you talk about how it can devastate your business, how old texts can come back to haunt you, old words, whatever. And then you talk about, general sense that, would your reputation and character know each other if they met on the street? And, sometimes you don't know how you're coming across. So that's very general. And then specific, talk about it as a professional, as whatever your industry is. Thank you, Hot Rod. Take it down to a very specific level. So I will say for me, reputation is very important to me because as a writer and instructional designer, my reputation is very important to me because I work very hard and I deliver flawless work. And there's a lot that goes into it. I have an editor and I make sure that I research everything meticulously. So for someone to come along and say, oh, well, she, maybe she used AI to write it, or, she's no good without her editor, blah, blah, blah. I won't take clients now who I think are going to be difficult because people, when they want to lash out, don't care how much damage they inflict because it's about them, not about you. So sometimes you can't do that. Like when I first started out, thank you, Hot Rod. When I first started out, I could not, I couldn't turn down clients. I was eating 7-Eleven hot dogs. I was eating ramen. I couldn't turn it down. So reputation management, when you're dealing with difficult clients and starting your business, that would be an example of very specific issues. And you would be surprised. I don't think so. I think after the pandemic, everyone talks about mental health, but a lot of people are very difficult nowadays, and they feel very entitled to it because they're not as flush as they used to be. My number one fan. Wow, thank you. People aren't as flush as they used to be, so they are demanding so much more, but you're just a person delivering a product or service. You can't kill yourself for them. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oops. You can't, you can only do what you can do. So in terms of that would be very specific. And then you talk about the ins and outs, and then you deliver your value. You talk about how certain situations have arisen for you, how you've handled them, tips and tricks. So you get down to the real nitty gritty of how you handle that. And you do that and you make everything actionable. Okay. Because when I was in the classroom as a teacher, I made everything very practical because when kids would be like, well, why do we have to know this? Because it's real world stuff. When I would talk to them about critical thinking and, you can't say, one of the big things that I used to do is you always have to prove your point. You always have to have proof. I said, because you can't go around just accusing people of things, you have to have proof. So you can't prove your point without proof. So people want proof. People want it to apply to their lives. That's why you can always, during the Q&A, have people say, well, tell me how this applies to you. And then, my God, you could make a whole course out of that. Get all that information. Ooh, that would be some excellent market research. So you do that. So general, present the problem overall, specific, particularly to your niche, get as granular as possible. And then do all of that, tips and tricks, quick wins. And then you recap everything. Recap the quick wins, all the tips and tricks, all the value. And it shouldn't take you super long to do it. In fact, what I tell my clients is those 5 minutes where you're recapping should be where your learners come back to the most. Like that should be bookmarked for them. And then you turn it over to them and say, and present. You can do it a couple of different things. You can present a problem as part of the application. Well, how would you handle this, that, and the other? And then let them duke it out in like the comments and whatever, have them really think about it. So you can present them with one problem, several problems. You can give them a hypothetical situation, something that's relatively realistic. You know, I doubt any of them are going to become like Blake Lively's overnight. So you have to make the situation relatively realistic to them. You know, you can't say, well, if you were going to start a business with $50,000, what would you do? And they don't even have $5 to their name. So make it realistic to them. And then have them apply it. Have them apply what they learned with you into a real world situation. That's why I put up this week that failure could actually make your webinars very successful. Is take a situation that maybe you didn't handle well. You may not have had all the knowledge. Maybe it was a transition time in your life or in your career. Maybe a new product or service had just popped up and you didn't know how to apply it. And take a situation that you flopped at and put it into your webinar. Because people love a success story. You know what? I flopped in this situation, but look at me now. So, wow. Hot Rod, you are the best. So take that and give it to them and then see where everything is at. So I always say keep your webinar to 45 minutes, 30 minutes of value, then your recap, and then the application, and then that's your Q&A can be the application. So make sure that you are always very mindful that you are dealing with, a lot of the webinars are for professionals. And make sure to keep it under 45 minutes. So there's a couple of different options that you guys have for webinars. I'm going to present them to you, and whatever is best for you, and that's what you should do. Tuesdays have the most engagement. So if you want a lot of engagement, pick a Tuesday. Fridays have the highest attendance rate because what better way to kind of zone out on a Friday is to attend a webinar. The webinars that I take them for Beyond, which is the animation for training videos. So I attend like the office hours and I do a lot of webinars because that's a new skill for me is animation. So they keep it 45 minutes. They let people ask a lot of questions and it's very applicable. But keep in mind something that I've been noticing lately with webinars, not the ones that I script, but in some other ones. If people are asking you questions, you have to answer them. And if it's an uncomfortable question for you, that's my baby. If it's an uncomfortable question for you, say, you know what, let me get back after the webinar. Let's go into a little bit more detail, off camera. Make it so that you answer the questions because I've been noticing this trend lately where a lot of people are bypassing the questions or they're just giving like some fluff answer. And it's infuriating. If people are investing time into your expertise and they're attending your webinar, you have to answer questions. It's like going to someone's house and them not offering you like water. like it's rude, or someone opening your oven door and asking you why there's Tupperware in there. So it's considered rude if you don't answer questions. So answer questions. You can have a few questions planted. What I do when I script is I present a few questions to my clients, and I say, have your moderator ask them. A lot of times people just fake that they've been asked questions and they just answer it. That's another option. I think it cheapens the experience for the learner and for you. I think, if you don't have a lot of questions in your webinars, then you're either starting out or you're not listening. So that's why the Q&As are so important. That's built-in market research. And then quick recap of what we talked about. So you pick a topic that's trending, and then also a topic that is very granular and evergreen. Evergreen is what I tend to focus on because I'm more of a methodical person. I like a list and I like to go down it. I'm also an Aquarius Sun, Libra Moon, and Sag Rising, if that helps anybody. But pick a trending topic, pick a evergreen topic, focus on a series, because that's how you're going to stand out is with the series. Because remember, it's not that you're joining a crowded space, it's that you have to stand out without shouting. And one of the ways that you do that is just presenting information really well, delivering on what you say you're going to deliver, and going as granular as possible. And really presenting value more than information, because if someone walks away 30 minutes into your webinar and they have to go put their head in the freezer because it's just too much, then you're doing it wrong and you're hurting your reputation. So value over information. And then you pick something that you flopped at that relates to the topic, and then have them discuss it, figure it out, or create a brand new situation. Especially if it's like a trendy webinar topic, you might have to create a situation from scratch because, the world changes so much. You might think, well, what would happen if this happened? How would I react to that? And then you present it off. But I think it's better to go through one of your old failures and really talk about it, because people connect with stories, and talking about how you overcame something after they figured something out on their own. Don't be like, oh, well, I overcame it this way, but now here you figure it out. Say, this is the situation. Let's work it through. And then afterwards, you can talk about how you handle it and how it was wrong or not skilled, as the Buddhists say. And then that could be more of a discussion. But in terms of marketing, make sure you start advertising your webinar at least 2 weeks in advance. Have your newsletters, put in your newsletters, your social media, present it. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. We all look cringe at first. And then if you don't have a newsletter, a webinar is a great way, because that's how they register, is by using their email address. I know. Is by using their email address. By using their email address. That's how they register. And then make sure that you send emails afterwards. I have like a minute left. Make sure that you send emails afterwards. And I'm going to do, next week, I'm going to show you how to market your webinar. But make sure that you download the free course. We're going to go, don't worry. The free course template. Make sure that you download that. And then I will go into more specific next week about marketing, and then a little bit more into the structure, but you should get an idea. But make sure that you download it today, because you never know with social media. So make sure you download it. And then if you have any questions, just leave me a comment or DM me, but make sure that you get your free course template. And I have to take the dog OUT, and then I'm going to come back and
drink some hot tea. But thank you for joining me today. Like I said, my website is sirenpublications.com. Once again, that's sirenpublications.com. You can always, contact me through there. You can set up a time to talk to me with my Calendly link. And webinars are not easy, but after I've done countless, I can't even tell you. During the pandemic, I was doing one every week. So I know a few things. Just reach out to me because I have to take the dog OUT. But I'm here for you, so let me know. And then also, when you set up a time to speak with me or download your free course, you can reply back and let me know if this is for your business, is this for your job, because there's different things that I do for each, and I want to make sure that you are set up for success. So thank you for joining me. I have to take the dog OUT out. Bye. Good Lord, Waffles. Bye.